I don't even know what she qualifies as, if mistress is fitting or not. It was a drunken one-night mistake, my husband's words. They run in the same work circles and field but don't work together. My husband was dropped off at our house 2 months ago, drunk after a company event. He was crying and out of it, blabbering about nonsensical things. I tried sobering him up, but his legs couldn't even support him, and I couldn't drag him to the couch. So he slept it off on the ground, and the next day he confessed to everything. He was crying, and I've only seen him cry a handful of times in all our years of marriage. He said that everything was foggy, and he doesn't remember much, but that he slept with her. I won't type in my reaction because I can only describe it as violent. Not physically, but I unloaded on him and sobbed and screamed, and then lied to our kids after it woke them up. We tested him for drugs because what he was describing, foggy memory / didn't drink that much, etc., was attack, and as awful as it is, I felt a little bit of relief that it might have been and that he hadn't willingly cheated on me, but there was no trace of drugs in his system. The past 2 months have been brutal on us, but we're slowly working on us in therapy. Some may call it weak that I didn't divorce him, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And believe me, I thought about it a lot. He hadn't had contact with her since that night, up until she got his number and sent him a picture of her blood work a few days ago. She's pregnant and is asking him to meet up. That sent us into another spiral, but we agreed that I would meet her because there's an innocent life on the line. I wish I could say she's awful and I hate myself for this, but under different circumstances, she and I would have been good friends. She seemed ashamed and honestly looked lost. She's not that much younger than my husband and me. We're 33 and 34, and she's 28, but grew up sheltered by her religious parents. Not that it's an excuse, but from what she said. I asked her what she was going to do with the baby, and she got quiet. I don't know what I thought she was going to say, but it certainly wasn't her asking me to leave him. She said that once her boyfriend finds out, he'll leave her, and her parents will cut her off for having a bastard baby and that she can't do it on her own, and that I'll get a nice settlement and start fresh. I laughed. God help me, but I laughed harder than I thought I could while she started crying. These past 2 months have been testing my sanity, and I don't have that much left in me. Once I calmed down, I told her that I will not leave him. If she wants to have the baby, we'll figure out support and custody, but that was about it. She started crying harder in the middle of the cafe, but hell, we were already getting looks from my unhinged laughing and begged me to leave him. I told her I won't. My husband and I have been together since I was 14 and he was 15. We stuck together through high school, got engaged, and married throughout our Bachelor of Arts and Master's degrees, have 2 beautiful kids, and we're trying for more. I won't throw that all away just because she spread her legs and he slept with her once. He's all I've ever known. I don't remember a life without him in it. And let's say I agreed to leave him, then what? He'll marry her and she'll take over my life and be in my kids' lives, raising them half of the time? I didn't let her get a word in, and I was crying by the time I was finished with my rant, and I left her there. She's sobbing too. Now for an update. My husband and I already talked with a lawyer for a paternity test, and we're waiting on that before we do anything else. My husband sent her a text with my contact information and told her all communications are to be through me before he blocked her number. I didn't ask him to do that, but he's trying. I just don't know where to go from here if it does turn out to be his. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Oh dear God. Why does she think it's your husband's and not her boyfriend's? This is insanity, start to finish. And you are doing your husband's dirty work? Your lawyer isn't handling contact with her? Comment 2. What the heck? She has a boyfriend but asked you to leave your husband? Honestly, the fact that she asked you to leave him makes me wonder if she planned this. Like, did she want your husband? Now, for the update. A couple of days passed since the meeting with the other woman. My husband and I were just sitting in our living room, waiting for the paternity test results to come back. Just sitting there, staring at the walls. It felt super tense in the house, and we both were avoiding the topic completely. So my husband suggested that we take a weekend trip to clear our heads. It was like the most cliche thing ever, but honestly, I was desperate for a distraction. We ended up at this cabin in the woods that we used to visit when we were younger. I mean, it used to be our happy place. I packed some food and drinks for the trip, and honestly, packing felt like a small win. On the way there, we listened to music from our teenage years. I really felt like we were trying to recreate the past. The cabin looked the same, but the memories felt bittersweet. The first day, we spent it hiking and trying to enjoy our time together. Just being in nature, you know? At dinner, I noticed my husband seemed distant. I mean, more distant than usual. I asked him about it, but he just changed the subject to the scenery, like a pro. The next morning, I went for a walk alone to gather my thoughts. Honestly, I needed it. I stumbled upon this old photo album in the cabin, which sparked memories of our early relationship. I brought the album to my husband during breakfast, hoping to lighten the mood. He smiled briefly, but then went right back to being distracted. It was like I was talking to a wall at that point. After breakfast, I suggested we take a drive to a nearby lake. We arrived at the lake, and I noticed a family having a picnic nearby. It looked so normal, and I felt a pang of jealousy. My husband received a text while we were there, and he looked so unsettled after reading it. I asked who it was, and he hesitated, then said it was a work message. I could see he was lying and asked again, but he just brushed me off. So we returned to the cabin, and the tension just got worse. I confronted him about the text, insisting he tell me the truth. He finally admitted it was from the other woman who was trying to reach out again. I mean, come on, seriously? We both sat in silence as the weight of the news sank in. I insisted we needed to face this directly, rather than running away. So we decided to return home the next day instead of staying for the full weekend. Back at home, I received a call from the other woman, and she was in tears. I listened as she explained her situation, trying to make sense of it all. They agreed to meet again to discuss the situation, which just added to the chaos. My husband expressed concern about the meeting, fearing it would complicate things further. But I reassured him, stating we needed clarity on the situation. We planned to meet at a coffee shop the following week. The night before the meeting, my husband suggested we both write down our thoughts. I thought it was a good idea, so I went with it. The next day, I met the other woman, and she was visibly shaken. She revealed her parents' reaction to the pregnancy was not supportive at all. I mean, surprise, surprise, right? I shared my commitment to my marriage, reinforcing my stance. The meeting ended with her asking for friendship, which I just flat out declined. I returned home, feeling accomplished for setting boundaries. I found my husband waiting for me, and we talked about the meeting. We both agreed to focus on our own relationship and work through the challenges together. Now we're back to our normal routine, but honestly, it feels even more tense. We're both kind of just waiting for the paternity test results, and I'm really scared about what they'll say. It's such a weird place to be in, you know, like we're trying to work on our relationship and be a team, but this whole situation is just hanging over our heads. I hate that the other woman is still in the picture, and I'm not sure if it's going to be one of those things that just gets easier with time. I hope we can move past this and come out stronger. But I guess only time will tell. I read every comment, so please comment. Edit. The situation is still complicated. The other woman did not keep the baby, which surprised me. She said it was a tough decision, but she felt that it was the right choice for her. We haven't had any communication with her since that decision. My husband seems to be more relaxed about it, but I can't help but feel unsettled. It's hard to deal with the thought of it all. We're still waiting on the paternity test, and I just want to know for sure. Am I the idiot for wanting a Christmas without babysitting my adult sister? We have been together for 3 years, but this has been the first time we are financially stable enough to actually get a Christmas tree, a good haul of gifts, and decorate our apartment. This was always my favorite time of the year as a kid. I grew up in kind of an hurtful family, where I was forced to be an adult at a young age to take care of my siblings, while my parents constantly worked and broke up and threw each other out, but everyone just seemed happy around the holidays. We both live across the country from our families and see them a few times a year for a week or so at a time. We budgeted enough to splurge a little this year, and we both started good jobs at the start of the year that gave us both bonuses. Together, our bonuses are a combined $1,500, and we agree this is the firm budget for Christmas gifts, split evenly. I know it seems like a lot, but there are several things we have both gone without for a while when we were struggling for the first couple years of our relationship financially. We both desperately needed new clothes and a few other miscellaneous items. We both prepared lists of clothes, shoes, cologne, and perfume, things for our apartment like a rice cooker, new bedding, and some items for our dog. In total, I bought him everything on the list. I told him several times that I was so excited for our first real Christmas together, emphasis on our Christmas, and I told him over and over again how extremely romantic and intimate I thought it was going to be. In my head, we would simply have a low-key Christmas, stay in, cook a big meal, mess around in bed for most of the day, and play video games or something. I felt like I communicated this clearly, and we both agreed. I know for sure we talked about it, and he never seemed to contest or ask for anything else. We spent the entire month of November talking about our mutual excitement and seeking out activities for us to do together, dates, board games, etc. We had a few dates planned. I don't know what came over him last night, but he decided to tell me my Christmas gift early. He spent a large portion of my gift budget on a plane ticket for my kid sister, orchestrated and planned with my parents to send her to our apartment to spend Christmas with us, and got my sister some gifts to open on Christmas morning so she wouldn't feel left out. He has a whole week planned for him, me, and my sister. All of our date ideas, but he included her. We will go see Christmas movies and Christmas lights with my sister. He got me 1 to 3 items off of my list, but none of these items were the things I needed, like warm clothes, shoes, bras, a winter coat, or cosmetics. We both made a lot of sacrifices this year while we struggled together, and I was looking forward to getting some items that would help me feel like me again and not like I was just in survival mode. My gift is that my sister is getting a vacation to my apartment. When he explained this to me, I just started crying. I feel so insanely frustrated. I love my sister, and we are very close, but it's because I am more like a parent to her. When I moved away and met my boyfriend, I had some independence from this. But now something I was really looking forward to has been turned into a babysitting experience, where I'm in charge of giving my sister a child's Christmas experience. I'm upset that my boyfriend doesn't know me well enough to know that this was actually one of the worst things he could do for me. He knows I hate surprises and grand gestures. I told him this really ruined my Christmas. And it's something that can't be undone without upsetting my sister, whom I feel responsible for. My boyfriend is telling me I'm being ungrateful and that he tried his best to be thoughtful, but I can't shake the feeling that this was the last thing from thoughtful. Can someone please offer some insight? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If he doesn't understand, just show him this post in the comments. What an awful person to call you ungrateful for a gift of this magnitude that is the exact opposite of what you wanted. And I agree with the person who suggested you return some of his gifts so you can get one of the other items you want or need. Comment 2. If you decide to go ahead with the sister visit, you should insist that he truly makes it a gift to you. He needs to clean the apartment, prepare where she'll sleep, do the grocery shopping, do the cooking, etc. He is in charge of giving your sister a Christmas experience, not you. Now, for the update. I was really looking forward to my first Christmas with my boyfriend after 3 years together. We were finally doing okay money-wise, excited to decorate our apartment, get a Christmas tree, and exchange gifts. We even set aside our combined $1,500 bonus for presents, making lists of stuff we needed, like clothes and things for our home and our dog. But then things changed. My boyfriend surprised me one day by telling me he spent a big chunk of our gift budget on a plane ticket for my younger sister to come visit for Christmas. He had planned a whole week of holiday fun with her, but while he did get me a few gifts, they weren't the essentials I really needed, like warm clothes or shoes. I felt let down and frustrated. Instead of the cozy Christmas we had planned, I was now stuck in a babysitting role, catering to my sister's needs. I love her, but I had hoped for a break from that parental responsibility. My boyfriend thought he was being thoughtful, but I felt hurt and misunderstood. I honestly told him that the surprise ruined my Christmas. While I didn't want to upset my sister, I felt overwhelmed and disappointed. I found myself caught between wanting to enjoy the holiday with my sister and feeling like my own needs were ignored. What was supposed to be a fun and intimate Christmas turned into something that felt burdensome and stressful. We finished the holiday in a complicated state, with me wishing for a balance between family time and my own happiness. A few weeks after Christmas, I'm still dealing with the aftermath from the holiday. My boyfriend thinks everything is fine, planning a romantic dinner at our apartment to celebrate the new year. I'm just going through the motions, trying to keep the peace. Everything feels surface level, and I'm not sure how to address the obvious issue. He insists on including my sister in the dinner plans, which frustrates me. I just want some time alone with him to reconnect. But it seems like that's never going to happen. He even suggests a group game night after dinner, inviting more friends over. I feel like I'm being suffocated by all these people. During dinner, my sister spills a drink on my boyfriend's favorite shirt. He brushes it off, but I notice he looks annoyed. I can't blame him. After dinner, they bond over a game, leaving me feeling left out. I decide to take a walk outside to clear my head. While outside, I overhear them laughing loudly through the window. It just hurts. At the coffee shop, I run into an old friend who asks how my Christmas was. I share my frustrations, and she suggests having a small New Year's party at her place. I agree and start planning the party. I invite a few close friends and decide to keep it a secret from my boyfriend and sister. On New Year's Eve, my boyfriend asks me to join them in celebrating together. I lie and say I want some time to myself. He seems disappointed, but respects my decision. I set up the party at my friend's place, decorating and preparing snacks. He texts asking if I'm okay, but I ignore it. My sister shows up unexpectedly at the party, having followed my social media. She's upset, claiming I'm abandoning her for friends. I calmly explain that I needed a break and that it was my time to celebrate. She storms out, saying she feels unwelcome in my life. My boyfriend arrives shortly after, confused by the scene and looking for her. I tell him she left, but he looks hurt by the whole situation. We argue, and he insists I should have included her. He storms out, saying he can't handle the stress of the situation anymore. The next day, he sends a long text admitting he feels distant and hurt. During our meeting, he brings up my sister again, saying he doesn't understand why she's such a big deal. He suggests we take a break to figure things out, which surprises me. After a few days, I realize I can finally focus on myself. I decide to plan a trip for myself to recharge, booking a solo getaway to a nearby beach. I inform my boyfriend about the trip, stating it's time for me to prioritize my needs. He expresses confusion but ultimately supports my decision. To answer a few questions, my boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years. My sister is 20 and relies on me for a lot. My boyfriend and my sister have met before. Am I the idiot for demanding respect from my husband who thinks jokes are more important than our marriage? 2 Christmases ago, my husband made me guess the entire month of November what he got me for Christmas. This went on until the week before Christmas when he got really serious one day and said, "I need to tell you something." He looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I was just joking with you. I never got you anything." I was crushed. We had a major snowstorm coming in 2 days before Christmas, so he was headed to the store. Knowing this, I scraped together the most amount of money I could find, like $10 to $15 around the house, and asked him to get me something, anything, so that I'd have something to open on Christmas. He came back, handed me all the money I gave him, and told me that he didn't get me anything because he didn't want to inconvenience the cashier or the other people in line. He was using self-checkout. It wasn't until he saw how devastated he made me that he got me something. It was a beautiful eyeshadow palette and lipstick, but to be honest, I've never been able to use it because every time I look at it, it brings back those memories. This year, 2 weekends ago, we went out of town, no shopping here, to get Christmas presents for everyone. We went to an arcade, and then he took me to my favorite restaurant. Afterwards, we went to a free Christmas drive-through light display that we found last year, one that was way better than any of the ones we've ever paid for. I thought it was a really good and fun day. Sunday, we went out of town again because an item he wanted was only available at a store 1.5 hours away, and it was also near his favorite drive-through light display, so we did that and also ate out. Last weekend, I asked him to help me clean. His response was that if he didn't personally make the mess, then he shouldn't have to help. That's just it, though. Most of the messes were his. Soda bottles, food wrappers, dirty dishes. Every time I ask, it's an excuse. He helps out, he says. What he does is let the dogs out and proceeds to sit outside watching them for hours while he plays on his phone. And we have a fenced backyard. He changes cat litter once a week, and at the same time takes out the trash. That's it. Meanwhile, I do everything else. I've been feeling overwhelmed lately and told him I need help. I want to be able to sit down and relax too. In fact, I need to, as I'm almost at my breaking point. His response was, when does he get to relax? He had to take my butt all over the state buying me Christmas presents and seeing Christmas lights instead of relaxing. He then proceeded to take his ring off and throw it at me, telling me we are done and stonewalling me for the rest of the night and the next day. He put the ring back on, but I haven't. Right now, I'm just going through the motions. I don't really know what to do or say. Meanwhile, he's acting like everything is normal. He's talking about seeing more lights. I'm just done with it and Christmas. I've asked him to take the presents back he got me, as I don't want them. Not if he feels that way. Really though, it's not about the presents. It's about respect, valuing your partner, not making them feel like a burden or that you're obligated to do something. Wanting to celebrate them and your relationship. I finally realized why it is that I got excited for Christmas in November, then lost interest when it comes around. I just don't know what to do now. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm sitting here by myself. I decorated for Christmas because it brings me joy. My home is clean, which brings me joy. I plan on baking Christmas cookies because it brings me joy. You can buy your own presents and put them under the tree. I have 2 beautifully wrapped presents from me that I purchased but am waiting to open and use on Christmas. I'm excited. You can be much happier without him dragging you down. Comment 2. When he took off his ring and said he was done, that was your Christmas present. Time to shout out, oh my God, it's perfect. Exactly what I need. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now for the update. A week has gone by since the whole housework argument, and yep, still no ring on my finger. It's kind of crazy how a piece of jewelry can feel so heavy with all the stuff going on. Hubby just keeps acting like everything's fine. Like, he suggested we go see some holiday lights, and I was sitting there like, do you even know what's up? Anyway, New Year's Eve was coming up, and the whole fam was going to get together at his parents' place. I wasn't too sure about going, but I figured family is family, right? So I went along with it. Dinner was fine, I guess. Everyone was in a good mood, talking and laughing. Then my genius husband had to make a joke in front of the whole family about how he's been working hard on his phone while I do all the work. Everyone cracked up, but all I could think was, wow, this is what I get for being the only adult in the room. Then he leans in and whispers this sarcastic comment about my cooking. I heard him, and I'm not deaf, dude. I just couldn't take it anymore. I had to step outside for some air. So I'm outside, trying to calm down, and I see my sister-in-law Amy, who's pregnant and glowing, of course. She asks me how things are going between us, and I can tell she senses the tension. She starts talking about her own struggles with her hubby, saying they've been working on communication. I mean, good for her, but I can't even get my husband to notice me half the time. After our little chat, we head back inside, and there he is, animatedly discussing football with all the other guys. I try to talk to him, but he brushes me off, totally focused on the game. It's like I'm invisible. The whole night goes on, and I'm just watching him joke and laugh with everyone. It's like he's living in a different world, and I just don't exist in it. When midnight struck, we all toasted to the new year. I didn't feel like celebrating, though. As the night came to an end, I overheard him telling his family a joke about me. Well, isn't that just lovely? So the next morning, I wake up and he's still conked out on the couch with the dogs. I figured I could use some fresh air and just decided to go for a walk. While I'm out, I find this cute little cafe and grab a coffee. I was just about to enjoy my moment when I bump into an old friend. We start chatting and catching up, and she asks how my life has been. I mean, what do I even say? Oh, same old, just ignoring the fact that my marriage feels like it's falling apart. I get back home, and guess what? He's still lounging on the couch with the dogs. I start talking about how I ran into an old friend, and he interrupts me with excuses about how I'm too uptight about everything. I mean, really? That's the problem? I let him have it, and he throws a pillow at me in frustration. Like, what are you, 5? Then he storms out of the room. I was over it. I text my family and let them know I'm not going to the family gathering coming up. I'm just not in the mood for more of his jokes at my expense. He comes back later, and I'm packing some things into a bag. He asks where I'm going, and I calmly tell him I need some time to think. He tries to convince me to stay, but I'm firm about it. Then he finally admits that he's scared of losing me, and I just look at him like, it's about way more than that. I grab my stuff and head out to my parents' place. It's been a few days, and he texts me asking to talk and work things out. I agree to meet him at this local diner where we can actually have a serious conversation. I just want to know if he's really willing to change or if I'm just wasting my time. Edit, we met at the diner, and it was clear he was nervous. He admitted he had been a jerk and didn't realize how much he took me for granted. He said he wanted to make things right and was willing to go to couples counseling. He even offered to give up his buddies' night out to spend more time with me. I told him I needed to see genuine change and not just temporary fixes. We discussed how he would take on more responsibilities at home and be more present in our relationship. I'm cautiously optimistic, but still need time to heal. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.